Linda.
How are you today?
Great. Thank you.
So no, it should be me who thank you. Okay, thank you for your time.
Sure.
It will be only around 15 to 20 minutes. I
It's okay.
just have a few questions because I'm really sure you are a professional teacher, the experienced teacher.
I hope so, yeah.
I just would like to have your insights about some things. Okay, at first, could you please tell the audience who are you?
Who am I? My name is May. I am a teacher. I have been teaching ever since I graduated uni, which was in 2009. So I've taught for over 11 years. Oh my God, it's yeah, it's been a while. I had experience being the academic manager in a language school, a private language school, but I have recently resigned from my job because I wanted to focus more on my education. I'm currently doing a educational degree, a master degree in UNJ. Is that enough for an introduction?
It's enough. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why are you nervous?
Gue nervous gitu kayak terus apa lagi ya? First time interviewing.
Yeah, that's okay. You can practice with me.
Yeah.
Should I talk about my current job?
You can talk about your current job as well.
Yeah, because I think it's related to your questions, right? Yeah, so right now, after I quit my job, I'm doing a degree while I'm also building my own online English course called Plug English. Ta-da! Um, Initially, I started this just to keep me productive. I'm used to managing a team of 15 people, and then suddenly I just have to manage myself and my study. So, and I still want to teach. So, but because of the pandemic, we cannot really. Well, I'm avoiding to travel outside of the house too much. So I came up with the idea of setting up my own online course. And because I'm English teacher, so I'm teaching English online, and my students are varied. I have classes for really young kids, as young as 4 years old, but I also teach like preparation exam like TOEFL or IELTS, and I'm also teaching general English, so like SMP, SD, SMA students like that.
Oh, great. So, okay, I have several questions here.
Sure.
Question number one. Do you have your own curriculum or do you follow schools or government's curriculum?
I actually, the answer would be neither. My background is on CEFR. I'm using CEFR a lot in my previous job. Um, and in my university, in my master degree program, apparently I realized that CEFR is one of the most widely used curriculum in Europe. So a lot of my lesson I based on the CEFR curriculum.
Wow,
So, yeah.
great. So what makes your curriculum differs to other curriculums like schools or governments like that? Or maybe your previous workplace because you worked at a language school before, right?
The thing about curriculum is at the end of the day, it only serves as a guidance. How you interpret it into lessons could be different. Even if you are in the same institution, like as a teacher, you can interpret the curriculum slightly differently to your work colleagues. And for me, I think the difference lies within my own experience. So when I use the curriculum as a guidance, I still have the ability to personalize it based on my students' personal need. And I could also reflect on my own experience teaching, like what kind of activities that I feel might work in the classroom, especially since it's online, and what activities that I feel like, oh, this will work great in the class, like a conventional class, but not in an online classroom. So I feel that is something, the difference relies on my own approach as a teacher, not in the curriculum itself.
I see. Okay, so now you teach online. I would like to know what are the challenges that you have when you teach in this recent time, the pandemic.
I think the most popular one, the one that everybody is complaining about, is the stability of the connection. Um, if if the student's connection and your connection as a teachers are stable, I think there's not much problems. However, I only teach really small classes and one-on-one classes. So I feel like in one-on-one and small classes, there is still enough interaction. Meanwhile, if you teach a bigger class in online setting, it's harder for every student to be able, like, it's not hard. It is in a way harder, but also like there definitely will be less time for interaction between you and your students, and student-student interaction would be a lot more reduced than in real classroom setting. So yeah.
Okay. So you also teach a small class?
Yeah, a group class, but only maximum 6 people.
Okay, so how long is each course for the group
um
class?
I don't really set that type of commitment because it's an online course and I don't have like what they are like a conventional course. You would usually have stages, right? For me, again, I use the CEFR as a rough guidance. So let's say if a student started from an A1 or a beginner level, then I will stay on the A1 level for about 3 to 6 months. But because I just started this uh, course, I don't really have a student that lasts 6 months yet. So I don't know, maybe in the future. Yeah, but right now, most of the parents are only committed to short-term lessons, like a month or two maximum.
Oh, okay. I see. What do you wish parents or students to know about online teaching if they watch this video?
Uh, what, yeah. What I want parents to know is that online teaching, um, when it is done correctly, I think it has the potential to be as effective as face-to-face teaching. That being said, I think there are some requirements that needs to be met, like a small, like a one-on-one preferably, or a small group class, and then good connection, and then students' ability to operate all the menu. Like in Zoom, many people don't know that they can okay, many people probably know they can annotate, but they don't know that teachers can allow students to share screen, or teachers can remote control the students' screen. So things like that. So sometimes I feel like um, parents or even like teachers in general sometimes do not fully explore what the platform could provide them and utilize it to make their lessons more varied and interesting. So yeah, I wish they would know how to utilize the platform a bit more.
So for the platform, you choose Zoom, isn't it?
Yeah.
Um, what do you think about other platforms like Google Classroom and also Skype? Well, I think some teachers, other teachers also use Skype and Google Classroom as well.
Mm. Um, I think Google Classroom and Zoom are not really apple to apple, because Google Classroom is more an asynchronous interaction, so it's not a live interaction. Um, like I still sometimes utilize Google Classroom for a small group class to post like worksheets and things like that. But then on top of that, I will still have a Zoom session, so a live session. But for Skype, to be honest, it's just because Zoom was suddenly booming at the beginning of the pandemic, and everyone is already familiar with Zoom at the time, more than they are familiar with Skype. Um, so I haven't really explored Skype, but I haven't read any reviews that would say that Skype is better for learning over Zoom. That's why I stick with Zoom. But I don't know. I might need to read more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a little bit personal. So I just want to know, because you're a teacher, right? And I think teacher has been affected by this pandemic slightly more than other professions. I want to know, how do you compare your life before and after the pandemic?
As a teacher.
Yes, as a teacher.
I think just like everyone else, when the pandemic hits, after a few months that the pandemic started, um, like companies or school starting um, rules of salary cut, and then like if you are a freelance teacher, you might get less hours because you have students leaving a non-formal school because they would prefer to go to spend more money on the formal school. So I do know that many of my colleagues earn a lot less money, but then almost everyone in any jobs, had to take had or still have to take pay cuts. But as teachers, I guess it's just very challenging because like for me, I'm lucky because my students have the ability to get good Wi-Fi. But for teachers whose students, like the teacher might have good Wi-Fi, but what if the students don't? So, but they can't just go into the students' home because it's, you're supposed to physically distance yourself. So I think it's like as a teacher, it's hard because you would need your students to have at least good internet connection so that you can provide them with lessons. But yeah, most of the time it's hard, especially for those who don't have access to good internet.
Okay. What do you think? What do you think the education will be? I mean, the learning. Sorry. What do you think? The learning process will be after the pandemic, or let's say in July afterwards?
To be honest, I think everyone is ready to go back to school and then do face-to-face learning. But also, I guess for at least for older students now, I think online learning would be a good alternative, especially since I doubt that people will stop their internet subscription once the pandemic's over, right? So the internet connection will still be there and it would still be good. So yeah, I think it could serve as a like people can still utilize it even after the pandemic, but I guess it's more for the older students instead of the younger students, because when you are younger, students need more face-to-face interaction instead of like an abstract explanation. But yeah, I think it will still be like a strong option now they've experienced learning online. There will be less reservation about studying online.
I see. Okay. Would you like to share? Okay, this is the last question.
Okay,
Because
sure.
would you like to share tips and tricks for other teachers who want to teach online?
um The first one, definitely educate yourself about the platform that you're using, be it Google Meet, be it Google Classroom, be it Zoom. So make sure you know how to utilize all the menu, and then use it to make your lessons more varied and more interactive to keep the students engaged. Second, I think in terms of training, because there is no face-to-face training that teachers normally would have. I think there's now a lot more opportunities, especially for teachers, for online courses that are free. Like I use futurelearn.com, for example, to take classes on how to assess students. So make use this opportunity to improve your teaching skills as well. So when the school commence as normal, you have more on your sleeve, and then you can like give your all to teach your students after a year of not seeing them face to face.
Okay. Unfortunately, this is it was not the last question. I still
Sure,
have
sure.
another
Go on, go
question.
on. I have all night.
Okay, you have all night.
Yeah.
Yeah, thankfully. Because you teach kids as young as 4 years old. So I have a student who has a younger brother. He is four. No, he is 5 years old, and um, his mom told me that um, his son looks really bored
Mm.
Whenever the class teacher has a Zoom meeting, even though it's only 30 minutes long. So do you have advice for teachers who teach young learners as young as 4 or 5 years old?
I think it's a good thing that they keep the duration really short, 30 minutes. But also I need to confirm. So this is a normal class, right? Like with many students. Do you know how many
Yes.
students are there?
I don't know the exact number, but if I'm not mistaken, it's around 10, 10 to 12 students, if I'm correct. Okay.
Hmm. Yeah, I think for young children, it's hard. It's hard anyway for them to learn from something that they cannot like touch or see directly in person. So psychologically, they're not ready yet for online learning. So a good, like a shorter duration is really good. And I would also recommend having like smaller number of students. Like instead of having, this is my personal recommendation. Yes, like there might be like different expert or experience, but this is what I would recommend, what I would do. So instead of having 10 students for 30 minutes, maybe break the class into 5 students for 15 minutes. Because especially for English class, you want everybody to have chance to speak up, right? So yeah, maybe in 15 minutes, you would be able to give these 5 students more speaking time instead of 30 minutes for 10 people. So break it down into smaller group whenever possible. And then keep the activity, like if it's 30 minutes, keep the activity fast paced. So don't have the same activity for the whole 30 minutes. With kids, you want to have like a 10 minutes of singing, 10 minutes of, I don't know, maybe doing craft, and 10 minutes of worksheet. You don't want to spend 25 minutes doing worksheet and then 5 minutes of saying hello. You want to make the activity varied and a little bit fast paced for kids, just so it keeps them interested. And if you can ask them to move around. The more they move, it's the better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Miss Wei. Thank you Ru, for your time, and I
No
believe
problem.
it will be useful for other teachers as well.
Yeah, but disclaimer, yeah, I'm not an expert in education or in language. I'm just talking based on what I think, based on my experience and based on my educational background. But teaching is a dynamic knowledge skill. You cannot just like if I say A and then it works for every classroom. No, you still need to personalize it based on your students, based on the facilities that you have, on your own teaching experience.
Yes.
Mm.
Anyway, if we work as a teacher, we need to learn as well from other people, right?
That's true, yeah. But unfortunately, like in a situation like this, you can't, right? Like
Yeah.
usually, like in the office after a class, you would be talking to your peers, saying,
Yes.
"Oh, my students in this class was like this. What would you do?" And then that's something that we're missing now because like we're now like working alone.
I think that's what we did when we were at school, right? After we finish our classes, then we just gather with other coworkers and talk. So, what did you do? What happened in your classroom?
Mm.
Oh, this student did blah blah blah, and we also shared what happened in our classrooms as well. And yeah, unfortunately, in this pandemic,
Situation,
yeah, everything has changed. So I think what can we do right now is we learn through we learn through online platforms, online websites, and yeah, I think YouTube is useful as well.
And I think it's good as well to find a support group as a teachers. Like if you have, like obviously if you're working for a school, you have like teaching team, right? I think it's great. It's a great idea to like have a Zoom conversation at least once a week or something like that, just to discuss what are the challenges that you're facing. Maybe other people can learn from you. Maybe you can learn
Mhm.
from other people. Just like sharing. I think that's a good idea as well.
Yeah, that's a great idea, definitely. Okay, Miss, thank you really for your time.
No worries. My pleasure. It's nice talking to you and sharing.
Yeah, maybe we need to do this again next time if you want to.
I don't mind. Yeah, just make sure. What? Yeah, like I'm just afraid like something that I said, people will take it like too literally, and then it doesn't fit on their situation, and they're like, oh, this is not just giving like useless advice. So
No,
yeah.
I don't think so because I think every teacher knows that um every kid is different, so the way we approach is also different,
Yeah.
and every teacher has their own style, and it's just like what we mentioned earlier, if we cannot talk with our coworkers, well, I know we can learn from anyone else,
Yeah, that's true.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
I agree.
Okay, Miss, thank you so much for sharing. This is really an insightful discussion. I hope you have a good day as well, or maybe
Thank you,
have a
Nina.
good night.
Thank you for inviting me. I hope my advice is helpful, but please take it with a grain of salt. Yeah, don't just take it literally. Thank you for
Okay,
inviting me, by the way.
my pleasure. Okay, bye bye.
Bye.